Hi, everybody. This is Jennie Date of Hidden Path Astrology, and today I am bringing you the third episode of The Short Answer, your astrology questions answered in brief. Today's question is simple. It is, what is the moon in astrology? But of course, I am going to share a little bit with you about the astronomy, which leads to some of the symbolism in astrology. So, here's some moon facts. First of all, the moon is thought to have helped to create life on Earth through the tides. As the sun was shining down on the Earth and there were amino acids in the ocean, the pull from the moon created these really big tides, and as they went back and forth, it is thought that that helped to spur the origins of life. So it's pretty cool. The second fact is that the moon does change the Earth's shape due to its gravitational force. This is especially true at a new or full moon when the sun is in alignment with the moon and it creates more force. So that's pretty interesting as well. Number three is pretty obvious. It marks the visible passage of time because you see the phases, and every day there's a little bit more light or a little bit less. And then the fourth thing is just that there's still much we don't know. There's still a mysteriousness to the moon as far as its origins and its contents. So it keeps us guessing. So some of these facts have led us to some of these other pieces about what the moon symbolizes in astrology. So first of all, the moon symbolizes your mother and your past. I like to see how this is connected to that idea of the moon helping stir the origins of life on Earth. But in astrology, yes, it does represent your mother. Your moon sign can have something to say about how you see your mother. It also represents your past and what you need to do to heal through whatever your upbringing brought you. So no matter what, we always have to look at our past through our moon. Number two is that it represents your private inner world. So this is the world that is private only to you, so nobody else can quite see into it. Nobody else is ever going to completely understand your feelings. So for that reason, you have to really connect with yourself. Number three is that the moon represents your reigning emotional need. So this is a psychological term from Noel Till, and he was a great astrologer who really brought this to light, this idea that our emotions drive us forwards, and it is more important than any other part of our being, to be honest. So that's part of it. Number four is that the moon does represent your cycles and your moods. The moon refers to it, where it shows us how these cycles are ongoing all the time. You see it growing in light, and it changes and it goes full circle. We live in a pretty linear oriented society, and I love how the moon can just remind us of these cycles that are also an inherent truth into how we live. Um, and then the final thing I have here is that the moon represents how you access your intuition. So you do all this healing work, you do all this understanding of your past and your private inner emotional world in order for you to kind of clear the way so that you can be in touch with your intuition. So I think that that's a really important part about the moon and one of my favorite things. Also, you can handle your moon by understanding that humans are driven by emotion. So that's really important. We're all driven by these feelings, whether we want to admit that or not. Um, Number two is learning how to learn about the element and the sign of your moon. Is your moon in a fire sign? Is it an air sign or earth or water? Whichever one of those four is going to have a huge impact on your emotional content. And then whatever sign that is makes it more specific. It's also really awesome to learn your moon phase at birth. That has a lot to say about your overall life direction, the kind of motivation and thrust in your life. The next one is to find out what house in your natal chart your moon is in. The house is going to tell you a ton about what life topics are super important to you, which ones really affect you. You know, so if your moon is in your seventh house, then you're going to have a lot of sensitivity around your partnerships and your relationships. You know, if the moon is in your 10th house, then your career is going to be very important to your emotional content. So that's a super important piece. And then determine the aspects to what other planets, and are those aspects stressful or supportive? How do they work with your moon? Those are going to be important as well. And these ones are more like can you do like in your regular life to pay attention. One is noting when the moon is in your sign each month. So if you have an Aries moon, find out when the moon is in Aries, which 2 to 3 days the moon is in Aries for every month, and use that time to pay close attention to your emotional content. Notice when the sun is in your moon sign each year. So for a whole season, the moon is going to be lit up by the sign. So let's say your moon's in Aquarius, then you will want to pay close attention during Aquarius season, which is in January and February, as to what kind of emotional things come to light for you. You can really learn a lot about yourself this way. And finally, pay close attention to the transits of your moon. So if your moon is in Pisces, then you have had Saturn going over your moon at some point or other in the last couple of years. So that is really helpful information. Saturn tends to constrict and repress the moon. So it's just really great information, but it also can help you stabilize the moon. So these are just some tips. You can also sign up for a class or a consultation with me. I've got some great stuff coming up, so check it out. And thank you very much. And I will see you next time for the next episode of The Short Answer.